Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. So this is the first part of chapter 4 for our BWU 10401 first year seminar. So in this chapter we're going to learn few creative ways and how to be creative in learning. So in this chapter we're going to learn about two things only. Yeah. So the first one, we're going to have a look at what is a conventional learning and what is a modern learning, and we're going to see the advantages and also the disadvantages of each learning approach. Then from there we can be able to differentiate between the conventional and also the modern learning approaches. So this will be part 1. The next part will be the platforms of e-learning, where we're going to learn about the several online platforms that we can use, that some of you have been using as well because of your lecturers are using it. Then we'll see what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and there are other platforms in the internet that we haven't explored yet. Okay, so this will be in part 2. So for this recorded video lecture, we're gonna learn on the first part only, and the next one will be the part 2 with the platforms of e-learning. So the first one, we're going to see the conventional versus the modern learning approaches. So as I mentioned, we're going to see each part of the learning approach, which is the conventional and also the modern, and we'll see the advantages and the disadvantages of each learning approach. So before that, the education system in general, they play a very important role in the development of the human civilization. So without education, there will be no human civilization. So in general, the conventional way of learning is within the walls of the classroom to a group of students. Okay, so this is what we have been experiencing in our kindergarten, in our school, okay, sekolah rendah, sekolah menengah, and also because this is your first semester in university, so it's in the online distance learning, so you haven't experienced the university face-to-face, university conventional way of learning. So you step into the university going towards the online. Okay, so with the intervention of the internet and the digital technology, so the online platform is currently in trend. So due to the COVID-19 situation as well, and not just because of the booming of the internet usage and also the digital technology, because of COVID-19 as well, we are adopting the online platform as a new and modern learning approach. Okay, so basically we can't really say that the traditional learning approach is better than the modern, or the modern learning is better than the traditional. We can get a balance of these both learning approaches. Okay, so whether it is said an old school ataupun new school. Okay, so for example, this one clearly as the modern education, and this one clearly the traditional, where it depicts, it illustrates the use of the blackboard, the use of the whiteboard, the books, calculator, whereby for the modern education, it is all in the internet, where we use the technology, we use the laptop, we use the tablet, we use the PC. Okay, so everything with the technology. Okay, so first we're going to have a look at the conventional learning, or some might call it as well the traditional learning. So in the conventional learning, so there are few points that we need to know, and that points describe what conventional learning is. Okay, so the first one is this. Conventional learning, it involves using the blackboards or the chalks or the books, the physical books, or pens, marker pens, whiteboard. Okay, and the second point is it is confined within the walls of the classroom, of the laboratory, of the lecture hall. Okay, the third point is the teachers present in the classroom physically. Okay, so on the conventional or the traditional, the teachers or the lecturers or the tutors or the lab assistants, they are physically in front of you in the classroom. The next point is we get direct assistance. Okay, since the lecturers are in front of you in the classroom or in the lecture halls, so if we have any questions or if we are unable to solve any questions, then we can directly ask for assistance from the lecturers in front of us. And the last one, in conventional learning, the students have to attend the classes every day because the schedule is very packed. As you know by now that your schedule is very packed. So in the conventional learning, you have to attend the class every day. You have to go to the campus. You have to walk from the college to the campus every day. So let's see the advantages of the conventional learning. So this is the good side of the conventional or the traditional learning. So the first one is social exposure. So when we have a conventional learning for a face-to-face class, face-to-face activities, then we can know a lot of people. Okay, so right now, for example, although you have been in the same class, but you haven't met with each other, right? So tak pernah kenal lagi, tak tahu macam mana. Okay, so the advantages of the conventional learning, then you are exposed to a group of students from different places. Okay, so if you have international students, then from international places as well. Okay, so although maybe for example kita ni from Johor kan, so kita boleh jumpa orang Kedah dengan dia punya accent dia, lorat dia. Lepas tu kita boleh jumpa Kelantan. Kita tahu dia punya accent ni gimana kan. Jadi macam itulah. So we will learn a lot of things besides the theoretical part that we learn in university. We will also learn the cultural part, the social part from the surrounding. The second one is the extracurricular activities. So of course, when we do the conventional learning, the face-to-face learning, then we can be involved in the extracurricular activities. So for example, in the UTHM, we offer a lot of extracurricular activities. So if you are into sports, you can join the netball, you can join the hockey, badminton. If you like debate, then you can join the debate. You can join the Malay debate team. You can join English debate team. Okay. So if you like community-based programs, then you can join a lot of clubs that will empower the skills of the communication skills with the local people. Okay. So that's one of the advantages. Next one is proper guidance. Because remember that in conventional learning, then the lecturers are in front of you. So you can get a direct assistance, and that will promote the more students and teacher interactions. So for example, if outside of the class and then suddenly you can't remember the important facts, or you suddenly have any questions with the topic that the lecturer just teach you, then you can go and meet with the lecturer in his or her office. Okay, so there is a proper guidance between the teacher and also the student under the conventional learning. Next one is active learning. Okay, so this is in relation to the previous point, where if the students have difficulties in learning, then the students can set up a meeting with the lecturer. Okay, so it's a face-to-face meeting. So for some people, the face-to-face meeting, it is more effective than the online. Okay, so basically it is up to the preferences of some people. Then the fifth advantage is not all courses can be taught online, because there are some courses that, although the theoretical part can be taught online, however, there are some hands-on experience that we need the students to really do it, to demonstrate the skills. So by having the conventional learning, then we can provide the students to access the equipments, to access the labs, to access the resources that the students needed to succeed. And then number 7, so this is the 7th advantage of the conventional learning, access to libraries and research materials. So this is in relation to the previous point as well, where besides accessing the equipment, accessing the resources, we can also access the library and also the research materials. Okay, so and then advantage is the learning is scheduled. The learning is scheduled. It means that the students is already provided with a timetable, with a schedule. Okay, hari Isnin pukul berapa hingga pukul berapa you have class, you have lab, you have meeting. Okay, so everything is organized for you. Okay, so it makes the students to be punctual and also disciplined. So this is one of the skills that we need and we want to nurture in our students, so that when you step outside of the university, then you will carry on with that skills, and that will inshallah guarantee you a success in the future. Okay, so now let's see the bad side of the conventional learning, the disadvantages. Okay, the first one, it is expensive for the conventional learning, because we have to pay for the tuition fees, we have to pay for the college fees, we have to pay for the meal, and then we have to pay for the transport. Okay, so all of those things, it needs money. Okay, besides that, you have to pay for the stationaries, and then for assignments, so you have to print out, so you have to send them out for to the printing company. Okay, so banyaklah kos yang diperlukan. Okay, so as mentioned just now, the cost of commuting, so the travelling cost. So the travelling cost, it involves you travel from your hometown to the college. Okay, to pakai duit. From your college to the campus. Okay, so usually from college to campus, students will walk. Okay, because it's not that far. So if it is very sunny or if it is raining, then you can use your umbrella, ataupun kadang-kadang students tumpang kawan-kawan yang ada kereta. Okay, so speaking of the kereta, so some students who are privileged to have cars, and they bring the cars to the college, then you have to bear the cost of that as well. Okay, so maybe the maintenance tu parents yang bayar, but what about the fuel, kan, dia punya minyak dia tu. The third disadvantages of the conventional learning is no flexibility. Okay, because it's a rigid schedule. Because kita dah tetapkan, okay, hari Ahad pukul berapa pukul berapa, lepas tu pukul berapa sampai macam tu je. You really have to follow. Okay, conventional learning. Jadi kalau macam sometimes you have a really emergency, urgent situation, then dah terpaksa. Okay, so this is what the lecturers have been experiencing with our students. So sometimes when the students are absent in our class, and then the students will message us, kan, dia akan text ke WhatsApp ke, jarang lah yang email. So dia selalu WhatsApp je lah, call pun tak pernah dapat. So selalu memang WhatsApp. Jadi students tu mesti dia akan kata, oh maaf doktor, tak dapat datang atas urusan keluarga. Macam tu. Jadi dari situ we just have to trust the students, that the students really are in a dire situation or in an urgent situation, that the urusan keluarga tu memang tak boleh dielakkan. Okay, so that's the conventional learning or the traditional learning, where students are in the lecture hall, the lecturers are in front of you, and that learning approach has a lot of advantages but also disadvantages. Okay, now we're going to have a look at the modern learning. Okay, so same as what we did with the conventional learning, those underlined in this paragraph is the points that we have to know that it is pertaining to the modern learning. So the first one, modern learning, it has something to do with learning through different websites. Okay, so right now you are experiencing modern learning where you are using the e-learning. Everything is electronic. Okay, so kita pun berjumpa melalui elektronik. Okay, menggunakan Google Meet ke Zoom ke, ini through recorded audio lecture. Sometimes I use the recorded video lecture as well. Yeah. Okay, so different websites that we have been using. We use, for example, macam tadi Google Meet. We use Zoom. We use YouTube. Okay, and then banyak lagi lah website that are available for us to use in this modern learning. The second point is the use of internet. Okay, so if you want to use the website, we have to have the internet. The third one is participation in the technology-driven learning. Okay, jadi kita in the modern learning, so we are keeping up with the technology-driven learning. Okay, so we are trying to understand what the technology offers us, because the technology is there to assist us, is there to make our life easier. It's just that we have to spend some time to learn about the technology, then it will be easy for us, inshallah. And then the fourth one is not constrained to the time limits, and also not constrained to the number of students. Because it is online, then there is no rigid schedule. So it is open to the time limit. So as you can see, sometimes when I give you quiz, when I give you assignments, kan, so I give you a lot of time actually in comparison to the face-to-face learning. So kalau face-to-face learning, usually assignment tu I give maybe few days or paling maximum pun 1 week. But for learning, for e-learning, modern learning, I bagi you banyak masa. Okay? Number of students pun. So because it is being conducted online, then kita tak kisah pun the number of students. Okay? Because we don't have to think about the logistics. So we don't have to think about besar kelas tu, muat ke tak, cukup ke tak meja, cukup ke tak kerusi, dengar ke tak student tu kat belakang, projector, microphone. Okay, so those things we don't have to really depend on in this modern learning. So tak kisahlah kalau 200-300 students pun they are taking up this course, then it has no problem at all. So these are the points, the few points that are pertaining to the modern learning. Okay, now we will see the advantages of the modern learning. So first one is the flexibility. Okay, so although we are still using the tight schedule that you have, but you have to admit that um, the the classes are being done either synchronous or the asynchronous, kan? Okay, so for example, macam contohnya last week, we were supposed to have our class on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, kan? Alright, so when the lecturer told you that we will do it asynchronous. So maksudnya pukul 11 tu, although you have a class, but you don't really have to attend the class, kan? Because dah buat asynchronous. So you just wait for the material sahajalah. Okay, for student, for lecturer to upload in your Google Classroom. So it gives you some flexibility. Then at 11 a.m. on Wednesday tu, since the lecturer is not conducting the class synchronously, then maybe you can use that time to do the assignment, to do the quiz of other courses. So that gives you the flexibility. Second one is the lower cost. Okay, so when we do the modern learning, the e-learning, then we can cut cost a lot of things. The tuition fee, yes, you have to pay because you are still learning even though it's through online. But then I think you are given a discount ataupun refunded, kan, fully refund your college fee. So you don't have to pay for your meal because you are staying with your parents ke, with your brothers ke, sisters ke, kan. So mostly the parents or the brothers or the sisters yang akan bayar for your meal allowance. And then you don't have to pay for the transportation because you don't have to go anywhere. So you just have to stay in your room, on your bed ke, dekat table, meja makan, sambil makan, buat apa, belajar, kan. So it is totally decrease the cost. Wide range of contents. Okay, so due to the nature of the modern learning, e-learning, okay, so the knowledge is out there in the websites. You just have to use the platforms. Then the syllabus is not really macam jumut tau, dia macam contain je dekat dalam syllabus tu. Okay, so by using the websites, then we are being open to the wide array of knowledge out there. So tak adalah you are really totally dependent on the lecturers punya lecture slides. Okay, so you can use all other platforms, all other websites to make you really understand the topic. So the fourth one is the learning time. So you will be able to learn more skills online. Okay, so this is what we are talking about, the online skills. Okay, so kalau if you still remember, kan, in our chapter 1 about skills needed as a university student and the skills that we want you to nurture for your future, then those are the online skills. Okay, how to for example, how to operate the Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Okay, don't be surprised kalau ada je professionals yang tak tahu how to use the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, semua tu. Social interaction. Okay, so the discussion occurs through online chat. Okay, so memang I can see that during the modern learning or the e-learning, the students are more likely to ask questions rather than during the face-to-face or the conventional learning. Okay, I think because kita tak nampak muka dia, kan, dia tulis je kat situ. Jadi kalau macam grammar salah pun tak adalah kisah sangat, tak adalah macam nak malu sangat ke apa kan. But this is a norm that we have to encounter lah. Tak kisahlah whether this is modern learning or conventional learning, but just ask questions. Okay, jangan malu-malu takut grammar salah ke apa ataupun takut soalan tu bodoh ke apa ke. It's okay. Sometimes we ask questions not for ourselves, but we ask questions for someone yang really shy to ask. Macam tu. Because this is my own experience. Awal-awal dulu memang saya memang jenis pemalu dekat dalam sekolah kan. Memang pemalu sangat. Tapi macam I have a lot of questions bila cikgu ajar semua tu kan. But then I have a classmate yang memang jenis outspoken. So dia main tanya je soalan. Kadang-kadang soalan tu memang bodoh, memang lawak lah apa lah kan. Sampai cikgu pun malas nak layan kan. Tapi few times there were questions yang memang questions dia on point. Which I think that person, dia tahu je jawapan tu. But then he or she ask that question so that teacher will give more explanation and it will benefit the others. Okay. Instructional materials. Okay. So ini it involves the learning materials lah. All the visual aids, and then you can see that we use a lot of simulations lah, YouTube videos. Kan it is very fun, very attractive, very engaging kan. Daripada in comparison to the face-to-face punya learning, then kita tunjuk dekat papa kat depan, lecturer kat depan cakap. Okay, so it is more fun for the lecture materials in the modern learning. Okay, so those are the advantages of the modern learning. Now let's have a look at the disadvantages, the bad side of the modern learning. So the first one is lack of face-to-face interaction. Okay, so this is straight on. Because it is an e-learning, kita pun jumpa melalui alam maya sahaja. Okay, so I haven't really seen you in person because this is your first semester and then suddenly kita terus kena masuk online kan. So ada kerugian lah sedikit di situ. Okay, but due to macam sekarang tengah pandemik COVID-19 ni, memang bagus lah kalau kita tak jumpa face to face. So akan boleh rendering dia punya infection tu. Okay, not all programs are available. This is true. So not all programs are available for e-learning or modern learning. So some programs, they require the practical session. They require the hands-on training, or they have to have the skills to operate the machine ataupun equipment. Okay, so bayangkan kalau macam course tu medicine, doktor, nak jadi surgeon tapi dia online sahaja. Jadi cikgu dia tu tunjuk video je macam mana you nak operate, nak buka perut ke, nak buka dada, nak pindahkan heart transplant ke, kidney transplant ke. Bayangkan doktor belajar melalui internet sahaja without a proper hands-on training dekat dalam hospital. Okay, so not all programs are available. Untuk yang theoretical part is okay for modern learning, okay? But for the hands-on, for the practical, it is a disadvantage towards the modern learning. And then the third disadvantage is it is inaccessible to others. Okay, so inilah what we are afraid of. Some students who are privileged, then you have internet connection at your home is very strong kan, you can pay the Wi-Fi, or if you don't have the Wi-Fi, you use the hotspot of your mobile data, then you are able to increase the limit of your mobile data. Okay, so those are the privileged one. But what about the underprivileged one? And this is not only for students. It is only for lecturers. Lecturers ni tak kaya. Okay, we have a lot of commitments. So, duit pun, cakap pasal duit, tak payah cakap pasal duit. But, not all people are privileged to have the Wi-Fi. Macam saya pun, I don't have Wi-Fi at my home, kan? So, I am relying on my hotspot of my mobile data. So since bulan 3 PKP until now bulan 12 kan, every month I have to top up my mobile data sebab tak cukup kan, because we have classes and I have meetings, Viva and everything. So everything done online, semua perlukan internet. Okay. And then the fourth one, cheating is unavoidable. Okay, so mungkin ini advantage kepada students, but this is a disadvantage to the lecturers. Okay, because yalah, you kat rumah, kita bagi soalan semua online. How can I know that you really answer the questions with your knowledge, or you speak through juga kan you punya lecture notes. Although we provide you with the surat akuan janji and then you sign kan, tapi still if you want to cheat, you cheat kan. Okay, the fifth one, it requires self-motivation and proper time management skills. This is true because modern learning it offers flexibility. So dia tak ada rigid schedule. So the students have to motivate yourself. You have to motivate diri you betul-betul, discipline. You have to really improve your time management. Kalau tak, memang akan hanyut tidur je lah macam tu. The sixth one is modern learning ni, because it is an advantage to the theoretical part only, then the course will focus more on the theory, kan, rather than practical. So this is in contrast to the face-to-face lah. Kalau face-to-face, theory pun kita cover, practical pun kita cover. But this one, yes, we have the theory part, the lecture online. But for practical pun, I know some lecturers, we are doing our very best to provide you with the practical session online. We give you simulations, we give you videos, we give you simple experiments that you can do at home. You can use your home ingredients, something that are very not expensive, so that all range of students can buy or can use or can find or can borrow, kan? So we are doing very best. So I really hope that students are really involved in that session, in the practical session particularly, so that you appreciate what the lecturers are trying to teach you in this modern learning. Okay, so that is all for the conventional and also the modern learning. So I hope by now you can see the differences, okay, between the conventional learning and also the modern learning. And you know now the advantages and the disadvantages of each learning approach. So what I want you to do is, please go to the Mentimeter poll. I will copy and paste this link, okay, and I will put it in the Google Classroom. Then answer the poll, the question, okay. Why is there a shift from the conventional learning to the modern learning in UTHM? If it is not worldwide lah. Sekarang ni memang worldwide pun kan, but in UTHM. So daripada conventional learning to modern learning. Why is there a shift? Mainly because of COVID-19 lah. Okay, kalau tak ada COVID-19, mungkin most of us are still doing the face-to-face. Although before COVID-19, memang the lecturers, we are encouraged to blend our learning approach between online and face-to-face. Okay, jadi dia tak adalah terkejut sangat because we are in the technology driven punya era kan. So kita mesti blend kan sikit online learning and also the face-to-face learning. But then when the COVID-19 hits, then we totally have to transform our teaching and learning approach towards e-learning only. So it's not a blended learning anymore. So it's a totally 100% full online course. Okay, so that's why there is a shift from a conventional learning to a modern learning in UTHM. Also, besides COVID-19, we change from conventional learning to modern e-learning approach because things change. Because as I mentioned, we are in the technology-driven era. We don't want to be left behind. We have seen a lot of companies, for example, kan macam Kodak, they can't really keep up with the technology. So what happened to them? Kan, bungkus gulung tikar. So we don't want to be that. We don't want to be left behind just because we are very arrogant ataupun we are very lazy to learn the technology. We will be left behind. And because things change, because we are keeping up with the fast technology, people change as well. Okay, students sekarang dah, korang ni tak tahulah korang ni generasi apa kan, XYZ lah, Alpha lah, whatever semua tu. And because you are being raised in the technology era, then you guys, you punya emosi kan, semua tu is driven by the technology as well. Jadi takkanlah masuk universiti masih lagi lah conventional. So you takkan kena dengan jiwa you. So you will lose interest in learning in university. Sudah tak nak belajar, kau tak nak belajar jadi apa? Macam tu, okay? So life must go on. So tak kisahlah teknologi tu teknologi apa yang ada, we have to learn. The learning process tak berhenti. Dah dapat PhD, it doesn't mean that okay cukup, itu adalah paling tertinggi education yang kita boleh dapat. No, okay? It doesn't mean that. Okay, so for you, on your part, you have to be creative in learning. So kita dah ajar, kita dah tunjukkan, and you have really experienced kan the conventional learning in kindergarten, dekat school. And then when you step into the university punya world, then you automatically step into the modern learning. So you have experienced the both worlds. Okay, so daripada situ, you sendiri boleh agak lah kan, which one yang you suka lagi, which one yang ada advantages, which one yang more disadvantages. But this is the way now. This is the new norm. Okay, so like it or not, you have to accept the fact that we are gonna be doing this e-learning for God knows for how long. Kita tak tahu. Kita tak tahu semester depan jadi macam mana, you boleh balik kampus ke tidak, ataupun still e-learning. Okay, so whatever is, be creative. Okay, so I think that's all for part 1, the conventional versus modern learning approach. And next we will continue with the part 2. Thank you everyone.